For years now, the NBA had one simple formula: get three superstars and a championship would follow. It worked for the Miami Heat, it worked for the Warriors, but why do today's super teams keep falling apart? The answer isn't what most fans think. Over the past decade, NBA teams have spent millions upon millions of dollars to recreate the magic of the past. And instead of stacked rosters dominating the league, teams built on chemistry, depth, and player development have started winning championships. Over the last 10 years alone, 7 different franchises have gone on to win the championship. But first, let's go back to how it all started. The modern super team era exploded when in 2010, LeBron James took his talents to the Miami Heat. And alongside Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, that historic trio led the Heat to 4 consecutive NBA Finals and 2 championships. And although they were heavily scrutinized by fans and the media at the time, they went on dominating from 2010 to 2014, proving that elite talent could overpower almost anybody. Which is why, after coming on debatably one of the best seasons ever, going 73-9, the Golden State Warriors in 2017 decided to add Kevin Durant, creating one of the most talented teams in basketball that we have ever seen. And after seeing the success that both those teams had, every front office wanted a version of their own. If super teams dominated the NBA for nearly a decade, what had changed? Why are organizations spending hundreds of millions of dollars on star players only to come up short? The answer isn't one thing, it's several trends that have completely changed how championships are won. Now, building a super team has never been cheap, but today it's more expensive than ever. When one team pays 3 superstars max contracts, there's very little money left for everyone else. Suddenly, more than half the payroll is tied up in these 3 players. That leaves teams filling the rest of the roster with minimum contracts, inexperienced players, or veterans willing to take discounts, which simply won't cut it when trying to win a championship. Playoff basketball isn't won by just 5 players. Every championship team eventually needs its 6th, 7th, or even 8th man to do a job. Like when a team is lacking rebounding, they bring on that big dominant big that will grab the ball every time it's in the air. Or when a team simply cannot score, they bring on that shooter that will shoot the lights out. But one of the biggest factors, injuries. Injuries happen, or stars sometimes just have an off night. Depth becomes that difference. Basketball isn't just about talent. Championship teams often know exactly where teammates will be before the pass is even thrown. Compared to super teams being built overnight, championship chemistry could take years to build. Knowing your roles in a team is very important. Knowing where you fit offensively and defensively are key contributors to a team working together. But one of the biggest things that isn't talked about a lot is trust. Having trust alone in your teammates goes so far. We've all been in that position debating on whether we should pass the ball to somebody or not. And just that small bit of hesitation because you do not trust your teammate could lead to a loss or a win. When it comes to basketball in the NBA, it's not just the players that continue to get better. It's the whole entire league around them as well. 20 years ago, one superstar could dominate the entire league. Today, almost every playoff team has elite coaching, elite scouting, and elite player development. As time goes by, we get better analytically, especially now with the ongoing use of AI. Coach is also coming up with better schemes defensively and offensively as the game adapts, along with better scouting overall for college players and players overseas. And when it comes to a 7-game series, every weakness will get exposed. Over the years, there have been plenty of instances where injuries derail a team. Especially the more older and more expensive your stars become, the harder it is to stay healthy. Anything can happen when you're on the basketball court. One injury can completely change the championship run. One of the most popular examples is the 2019 Golden State Warriors. The Warriors, coming off of 2 back-to-back championships, were looking to go on for the three-peat. And when facing the 2019 Toronto Raptors, it was looking possible. Nobody at the time really thought that Kawhi by himself could beat that team. But that's when, tragically, the Warriors lost Kevin Durant to a ruptured Achilles and Klay Thompson to a suffered ACL tear in that series, drastically changing the trajectory of the team. Klay Thompson, a very vital shooter on the team and also great defensively, and arguably their most important player, Kevin Durant, who was their best scorer coming off of 2 NBA championship MVPs. Inevitably, the Raptors went on to win that series, finishing off one of the greatest teams of all time. The NBA decided to put a stop to just letting teams keep spending money. Recent rules make it much harder for the biggest spenders to improve their roster. Teams over certain payroll thresholds lose flexibility to sign players, make trades, and build depth. And instead of rewarding teams for collecting stars, the league now rewards organizations that build balanced rosters. In 2023, the league introduced a new collective bargaining agreement. Its goal was simple: make it much harder for wealthy teams to keep stacking stars and outspending everyone else's. Think about it like this. In the past, if an owner was willing to spend enough money, they could usually keep adding talent around an already talented roster. Sure, yeah, they'd have to go pay a huge luxury tax, but if they wanted another all-star or an experienced role player, there were still ways to make it happen. Now, that statement is no longer true. The biggest change is something called the second apron. Once a team's payroll climbs above this line, the NBA starts taking away the tools that contenders have always relied on to improve their roster. Meaning, go over that second apron and suddenly building a contender seems almost impossible. Normally, teams can combine multiple player salaries to trade for one expensive player. Second apron teams lose that flexibility. Now, imagine this. You're paying 3 superstars nearly $150 million combined dollars. You might have an incredible starting lineup, but if injuries start to happen or your bench has to play in the playoffs, you don't have enough quality players. The goal with this whole thing was the NBA wanted more competitive balance. And instead of allowing the richest teams to just go and buy more talent every summer, the league created rules that reward organizations that draft well, develop players, and build complete rosters. Shifting the conversation from fans asking, how many superstars can we get, to now being, can this roster survive 4 playoff rounds? And with all that, we now have a league where championships don't always have the biggest names. They have the deepest rosters, the clearest identity, and players who fit together. And whether you're on the side of one franchise winning multiple championships or the champion being different every single year, I hope you're ready for the new NBA, because we may never see another super team again.